Today we are to go is a ring of bone which consists of four bones. These are two hip bones, sacrum and coccyx, which articulates with each other at two sacroiliac joints, sacrococcygeal joint and anteriorly pubic symphysis. This bony pelvis, it is divided into the two parts by upper false pelvis and below true pelvis by this pelvic inlet or this pelvic brim. This upper part or this false pelvis, it is continuous with this abdominal cavity and it is occupied by this abdominal organs. This true pelvis below this pelvic brim, it is a small cavity and it is occupied urinary bladder, posterior rectum, anal canal, and in the middle part it is occupied by the genital organs. Then we are concerned with this true pelvis. It has pelvic inlet or superior pelvic aperture, pelvic outlet, inferior pelvic aperture, and this pelvic cavity. Now we will study the boundaries of pelvic inlet or pelvic brim. The boundaries of pelvic inlet, these are from posteriorly sacral promontory, then this is line, this is the linea terminalis and pubic symphysis. This linea terminalis, it consists of anterior border of ala of sacrum, then this is the arcuate line or the lower part of medial border of ilium bone, then pecten pubis and the pubic crest, and this is pubic symphysis. So these are the boundaries of pelvic inlet. Then we will study the boundaries of pelvic outlet. So it is inferior pelvic aperture and these boundaries of this pelvic outlet, these are anteriorly the inferior margin of pubic symphysis, inferior ramus of pubis, then ischial tuberosities, sacrotuberous ligament and this coccyx. So these are the boundaries of this pelvic outlet. The plane of pelvic inlet and plane of pelvic outlet. Plane of pelvic inlet, you see it is directed upwards and forwards, and the axis, it makes an angle of 50 to 60 degree with this horizontal plane, and this axis of pelvic outlet or plane of pelvic outlet makes an angle of 15 degree with this horizontal. We will study this anatomical position of this pelvis in the demonstration. Now we will study the pelvimetry. Pelvimetry, it is the measurement of different diameters of the pelvis. It is done in three types, that is on skeletonized pelvis, clinical pelvimetry and radiological pelvimetry. Clinical pelvimetry is done by external and internally and it is done clinically. Radiological, it is done by radiological methods. We are concerned about the skeletonized pelvis on the dry bones. So we will study the measurements of this pelvic inlet. So four diameters at this pelvic inlet, these are the anteroposterior diameter, which is also called as true conjugate, then obstetric conjugate, diagonal conjugate and the transverse diameter. Transverse diameter of this pelvic inlet, it is the greatest diameter and it is about 13 centimeter. Anteroposterior diameter or this true conjugate, it is diameter of this pelvic inlet from this sacral promontory to this superior aspect of this pubic symphysis. So this is the anteroposterior diameter or this true conjugate, and this is the widest diameter or this transverse diameter of this pelvic inlet. Then what are this diagonal conjugate and obstetric conjugate? Diagonal conjugate, it is the diameter of the pelvis from this sacral promontory to this inferior margin of pubic symphysis. So from the sacral promontory to this inferior margin of pubic symphysis. And this obstetric conjugate, it is the diameter of this pelvic inlet from sacral promontory to the nearest point of the pubic symphysis or the posterior aspect of this pubic symphysis. So these are the different diameters of this pelvic inlet, and transverse diameter, it is the widest and it is about 13 to 13.5 centimeter. Obstetric conjugate, it is clinically important because this is the shortest anteroposterior diameter through which head of the baby during birth of baby it passes, and it cannot measure clinically. Diagonal conjugate we can measure clinically, and it is measured by pervaginal examination, and this diagonal conjugate, it is the distance between sacral promontory to this lower margin of this pubic symphysis, and we can calculate this true conjugate from this diagonal conjugate by subtracting 1.5 to 2 centimeter from this diagonal conjugate. Then we will see the different diameters at pelvic outlet. These are anteroposterior diameter, transverse diameter and posterior sagittal diameter. Anteroposterior diameter, it is the widest diameter of this pelvic outlet and it is the distance between the sacrococcygeal joint and lower margin of pubic symphysis. Transverse diameter, it is the smallest diameter, that is the between two ischial tuberosities. It is the smallest diameter of this pelvic outlet, and anteroposterior diameter, it is the largest or the largest diameter at this pelvic outlet. Then this is the chart showing the different diameters of this pelvic brim or pelvic inlet, pelvic cavity and pelvic outlet. You see at this pelvic inlet or brim, this transverse diameter is the widest. At this pelvic cavity, all these three diameters, these are the same, and at the pelvic outlet, this anteroposterior diameter, it is the widest diameter. Then this inferior pelvic aperture or pelvic outlet, it is covered by pelvic floor or pelvic diaphragm, and it consists of two muscles, that is the levator ani muscle and this coccygeus or ischio-coccygeus muscle, which form the gutter shaped and it supports this pelvic viscera. Now we will study the different variations of this pelvic shape. This normal pelvis and its variants, we studied the most of the description of this normal pelvis or this gynecoid type of the pelvis. The most common type of this pelvis, it is gynecoid type, and it is most commonly seen in females, and it is suitable for this normal delivery of the baby, and it is transversely oval. The pelvic inlet is transversely oval in gynecoid type of the pelvis. It is seen about 41% of the individuals. Second type, it is android type of the pelvis. It is seen in males, and inlet of this android type of the pelvis, it is heart shaped, and it is seen about 25% of the individuals. Third type, it is the anthropoid type. The name it is given because it is seen in these anthropoids, and this shape of this pelvic inlet, it is anteroposteriorly oval in anthropoid type of the pelvis. Platypoid type of the pelvis, it is similar to gynecoid, but it is transversely oval, or this transverse diameter is the widest in the platypoid type of the pelvis, which is also called as the flat pelvis. So these are the different variations of this normal pelvis. Then second type, symmetrically contracted pelvis, it is seen in a small woman, but these are symmetrical in shape. So these are the different types of the pelvis, again the same. Then pathological types, these are the rachitic type of the pelvis. This deformity is seen in rickets, and it is due to this deficiency of vitamin D, in which sacrum is rotated so that sacral promontory projects forward and coccyx backwards. Then asymmetrical type of the pelvis, it is seen in scoliosis, poliomyelitis, and it is congenital abnormality due to this thalidomide. So this is the asymmetrical type of the pelvis. These are the differences between male and female pelvis. The anatomical position and difference between male and female pelvis, we will study it in demonstration.